All right, welcome to March 18th City Council meeting, Village Council meeting. We appreciate everybody being here. Please stand for the prayer and pledge allegiance. The prayer will be done by Steve Ayers of Lifeline Connect Church.
Lord, we thank you that we can gather here today as a village. Lord, we thank you for the men and women that serve here for our village. Lord, we continue to pray for them, that you give them wisdom and guidance. Lord, I do pray for our village throughout 2024, that we move forward, that we prosper, and we serve you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. Beverly.
Here.
Egley. Here. Miller.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
I'm going to change the order up a little bit before we get started with some guests. I actually have Bruce Silcott wanting to address council. He has to go to Parkview, run the squad tonight over there, but Bruce wanted to address council and give us an update on the EMS.
So I guess you could say we have had the perfect storm. At the end of December, we all know what happened. We don't need to rehash that. We got word that the hospital could be closing. We have been on diversion 18 times now. This past weekend was 18. Not getting any billing money, which that's going to be rectified within the next week. And we have somebody on vacation this week. Right now, we have no coverage. This is a situation that has been brewing for many, many years. It's not just a 2-month problem. This is a problem that's been brewing for many, many years. We have one EMT. When she gets back, she will be available. I'm not sure about anybody else. I've got my full-time job to go to. We've been going down the road of having me come on full-time. And yet, here it is, 2 months later, and we're still not to that point. I have talked with PFE on numerous occasions. I talked to Cheryl. There's no way around it. We just need to hire more people. I've got 2 people willing to come over from my full-time job now. They're willing to work weekends part-time. We just interviewed somebody that wants to work weekends part-time. We have another person that is willing to work overnights part-time. We just need to go ahead. Right now you have basically 3 people running all your squad runs unless I'm available. Not available all the time. Not right now. We've had the perfect storm with not only what happened with the medical director, with the billing. We've had issues with both squads. Yes, we've had an outlay of money, and thankfully, thankfully the council has agreed to to get those issues fixed, and I appreciate that. I'm very thankful for that. But we need to get this addressed, because 3 people cannot continue to do it. You have 2 that run on the weekends. They do 12 hours each day, And that's what they can give. I know that there's been talk about my position and whether or not I'm wanting overtime. I'm here to tell you, I don't care. I'm not here for overtime. I'm not here to do the job for money. I never have been. If I wanted money, I wouldn't have gotten in this position, ever. Because we all know EMTs and paramedics do not make money. I'm here to serve the village of Hicksville and the public that we serve. We cover 110 square miles. 3 people right now. I'm constantly in contact with Cheryl, constantly. You ask her, I walk over to her office probably 3 to 4 times every day when I'm here. Always asking about money. What can we do? Where can we, you know? I asked her for $320 so that way I could take my instructor class. She said that I had to bring it up to you guys to get it approved. So I'd like to know if I can take my instructor class or if I just pay for it myself.
I have an idea.
Sure.
We've got a full-time position available that was posted today. I would like to recommend you at the paramedic level. It's just government takes time to get these new positions done. So I'd like to recommend you for a full-time paramedic position, and we're working on getting the coordinator position. That's more than likely going to be salary, but full-time paramedic with overtime available right now. And I know you have to go to your job, but government takes time. I don't know how long he has to stay in position. We got to do something.
Right. So here's what I'm going to say. And I have talked to the mayor and I have talked to Tony. And unfortunately, I have not been able to talk to the other 2 on PFE. There is a deputy chief position that it's just sitting there. It's wide open.
But I don't think it has a 40-hour-a-week wage attached to that.
The only thing that you guys would have to do would be approve the wage.
Approve the wages, and then just the job description is very similar. We were starting a whole new job description with the EMT coordinator.
It would help expedite that
Right.
process, so we don't have to repost it as a coordinator, because the position already exists.
Right.
So
So
this is all
as-
legal then?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
However, we had talked in Finance Committee about, we had approved a pay scale, a pay range for the coordinator position. So I guess the question is, does that now, can we attach that pay scale to this other position?
Well, whatever we do, we need to do it soon, because he's already got a full-time position that he's happy with, before we lose him, and he's been the spearhead behind everything, getting this thing straightened out. Let's do something instead of just sitting here.
Well, we talked about it several times, talked to Cheryl, talked to Bruce Hart. Bruce can recommend Bruce to be the new deputy chief. He can
Just be
then start the
promoted
process, promoting within. He still would like to hire some of the part-timers. He has advertised, he's got applicants, but legally, it's gotta run in a published newspaper or some. It also can run on Facebook, and that's where they got a lot of their applicants, kind of thing, but it ran today.
And I trust me, I understand that it's all about the dollars. I get it. I get it. But at some point, we have to sit there and say, you know, when does the human cost finally outweigh the financial cost?
Can Bruce stand up right now and point him?
Mayor, I'd like to recommend Bruce Ilcott as my deputy chief to run the rescue squad in EMS.
I'll accept that nomination as your deputy chief. We'd have to have a motion.
But don't we have to establish the wage of it first? or
Well,
not?
if we're, yeah, but if they were okay with what finance and the PFE was, you're gonna change the job description.
Yeah, there's a big difference though in the pay scale when it comes to the,
Right. But different levels, if anybody ever took that job, depending on if they were a basic, advanced, a paramedic, you know, we could adjust that pay scale to whatever they fall into.
in previous years, EMS chief slash administrative assistant, they got, if they were a basic, they got paid their rate plus $1 an hour for doing billing. And if they're a advanced, they got paid a different rate plus $1 an hour for billing, and
Right.
paramedic, the same thing.
Right.
And now they don't do billing. That was some of the questions, you know.
Correct,
Well,
but
I
with this
know-
position.
Right, I know Cheryl had actually crunched the numbers for us because that was a concern.
Correct.
Especially if it were to be an hourly wage. After she had crunched the numbers, she had actually determined the high end of the salary that we were looking at was actually what they were making with overtime. So that's where that number came from. It wasn't just something that was randomly picked out of the air. Cheryl had done all the numbers and had figured that out. So it would basically be what he would be making anyways, just in a salary form, because, I mean, you understand the financial constraints of that department. We just can't have you making, you know, that hourly wage and then getting overtime on top of that.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I
we
know,
talked
we've
about
had that
that, so.
conversation, yeah.
But we're in a situation with staffing and everything else, we still have to wait a little while to get the part-timers in. Even bringing Bruce on right now, it's still gonna be a 2-week before he can start full-time. So,
I have, yeah, I would give my current employer my 2-week
Right.
notice,
so,
but, you know.
But we've already spent 2 months,
right.
so it's time to move.
Yes, I would.
So,
So as the finance committee chair, what we talked about, the salary range was 45,000 to 52,000 per year, salary, no overtime. So that's my recommendation. I need a second, and then we can start a
Second.
vote.
Well, my question is, I mean, right now, we need EMTs to respond, and he's gonna pay the same if he responds to 1 call or 500 calls.
Right.
So it's incentive if you pay him.
At least we
to
can
go on
legally
his runs, and
respond,
you-
at least
so
we
you
can
give him
legally
hourly.
respond
you
to
trying to
calls
talk him out
now.
of it?
Well, no, I'm just saying for his advantage, honestly, I mean, you're giving him a salary and he doesn't show up to any of the calls, and we've had former fire chiefs and stuff that didn't show up to any of the calls.
But we haven't put
Well,
him in a position
I
where he
wanna
can be
address that real
successful.
quick. If you think that I'm gonna take this job and not respond,
It's just
we
incentive.
we have bigger problems.
Just
I
incentive.
can't believe that you would even sit here and say that to me.
Well, it's an incentive for anyone that if you're getting, I thought you'd be better off if you make more money.
I'm just.
For all the roads you'll
I'm-
go
I'm
on, I
here
think
to-
you'll make more money.
yeah.
We're
I don't
dragging
think-
our
Well,
feet.
the motion's on the
But I don't
floor.
think that that was an option, correct? Salary was what was agreed to.
So there's a motion, there's a second.
You'd make more money that way.
Roll call.
Right.
Ready? Martin,
Yes,
Miller,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Bassett.
No.
Bruce, I can't thank you enough for your time. You've worked hard on everything, both of you, your other department staff.
do we
Abby,
need to vote
and-
then, putting him in that position,
Yeah,
correct?
you do.
Okay.
So. I make the recommendation.
Thought we just did.
Motion.
No,
It was
this is
on
the
the
wage.
salary.
Oh,
Wage.
the wage.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
second Charlie's
motion.
Roll call.
Bassett,
No.
Bailey,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Okay.
So what are we doing for this week then? I mean, we've got.
Well, he's got some applicants, he's ready to pick.
You're talking about
um,
coverage.
To share with
So,
them.
So right now, if something were to happen from now until 8 o'clock in the morning, chances are Sherwood's probably going to be covered.
Okay, but we have something.
We
Okay, good.
do have something.
And they know the call might be coming in?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
When we sat here with PFE last week, 2 weeks ago, I can't remember,
Last
they were aware that we were gonna be short-staffed, so.
Bruce, I know that you organized the sim lab to come. I was able to stop in for a couple hours. That was very eye-opening for me. I did not realize, you know, I have a medical background, I work in surgery and see people get intubated on a daily basis, and I had no idea what you guys have to know. And that was very impressive, and the knowledge base and what they have to do to make sure until someone gets there who can intubate. I mean, that's, your guys' job
As
is-
an EMT and as a paramedic, we're doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, we're everybody wrapped into one. We know a little about a lot, so. yes.
Everyone seemed very appreciative of you bringing that, and, you know, them coming on a Saturday morning and getting more education.
It's going to be a quarterly thing. So, all right?
Real quick though, with the other applicants you have for the part-time positions, right?
Yes.
How long, Cheryl, would we have to wait? The ad ran today. How long do we wait until, we have to wait till the next council meeting to bring them in, right?
They're gonna interview him as soon as they apply.
Yeah, well, he's interviewed, right?
Yeah, I've got two, I've got two right now that I can recommend.
Right.
Yeah. We just can't take action because it was initially advertised on
Right.
Facebook,
Right.
and it needs to be publicly
But it's-
advertised, and we need to do the due diligence.
And a lot of that was going back to the financial part of that too.
They can always volunteer until they're hired.
And by the way, volunteers do get paid.
When they're on.
People
roll.
don't realize that there is money attached to it, it's just, you're not obligated to show up. You know, there's no contract or anything right now. You know, volunteers do get paid.
Right.
I don't know what the exact wage is, somebody should, but
Well, it's whatever.
per hour,
Same.
per
Per
hour,
hour,
yeah,
yeah, on the
so
run.
volunteers do get paid.
Right, the volunteers do get paid, yeah. It's
We gotta
just-
keep saying that.
It's just that, it's hard, nobody wants to, it takes a special person to be a first responder.
Oh, I
It
know.
really does. Because nobody wants to cut somebody out of a car.
Right.
Nobody wants to have to tell their family member that their other family member just died.
Yep.
You know, it takes somebody very special to do that job. And it's not just EMS, it's fire and police. So that deals with it, so.
Cool.
thank you, Bruce.
Other questions? Okay. Thank you, Bruce.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda, we have Bill Cherry with the Community Memorial Hospital. Bill, you're up. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. So I'm Bill Cherry. I'm the new interim CEO at Community Memorial Hospital. Wanted to come just for a couple of reasons. First, wanted just to make sure everyone was aware that the hospital is still open. So that's emergency department, surgery, basically all of the services that we have been providing previously. We do have most of the physicians who have left the employment of the hospital. Some of them are still in the same locations where they have been before seeing patients. They'll continue to refer to the hospital for diagnostic testing, labs, procedures, etc. So I know there's been some confusion amongst the community about the hospital, whether it was open or not, so trying to just clarify that point. We, as everyone knows, I'm sure, have had some financial challenges. We're trying to work through those now. We're putting together a plan as far as how we can move forward with the hospital going forward. We do have a significant number of assets, just starting with the staff that are really dedicated to this facility, this community, and we're trying to do everything we can to maintain the services here at the hospital. Do want to just address, just to tie into the EMS side, one of the areas where we have some challenges right now is on the staffing side, in respiratory therapy in particular, which then affects our ability to provide emergency room services, which is why we have been on diversion. We're actively recruiting for additional staff to fill those roles so that we can come off of diversion. For the current time, we don't have coverage on the weekends, which is why Last weekend we were on diversion, and then again, right now, I would tell you that this next weekend we're going to have the same issue. But we have advertised, our human resource is actually reaching out to people. So rather than waiting on people to apply, we're contacting folks, seeing if they have interest. We've not found anyone at this point in time, but we're going to continue to aggressively pursue those individuals so that we can be fully staffed and continue to provide services to the community. Would just ask your help if if you hear people saying that the hospital is open, just please let them know that it is that it's closed. Please let them know that the hospital is open. And again, getting the support from the community will be really important for us going forward, and in order to be able to be sustainable and be here for the community. So, be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
What kind of steps are you guys taking to rectify a lot of your financial issues?
Yeah, so we are exploring a number of different financial restructuring options for the hospital. We don't have an exact answer as to what that's going to be, but we expect that here in the next 15 to 30 days we will have some recommendations that will be made to the board on how we believe we need to proceed in that direction.
Well, I know the hospital is an asset to the community. I know most of the people, majority of the people in the community want the hospital to stay. Prayers are with you and our thoughts are with you. I know it's not all like on you. You've reached out to a lot of the government agencies, state, federal, for some assistance and help, but we definitely hope the hospital can survive through this, and
Well, thank
encourage
you.
the support. So,
And again, I mean, the staff is very supportive, and everyone I've met thus far in the community is very supportive of the hospital, and that is, I think, a very important part for success.
thank you, Bill.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have a Craig Nelson from the ODNR supervisor looking at maybe doing a test on our community. Craig?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for inviting me. I have to apologize, I'm probably also going to have to leave immediately after I'm driving back to Columbus. So I supervise the groundwater program at the Ohio Geological Survey. That's in the Department of Natural Resources. We map groundwater throughout the state of Ohio, we model groundwater flow throughout Ohio, and we monitor groundwater levels. It's a quantity department, so groundwater quality, contamination, that type of thing is handled by the EPA or the Department of Health. We look at groundwater quantity, so conflicts between users, pumping, how much resources we have, plans for the future, that type of thing. We're a political scientific organization. We basically collect data and publish it for all to see. And the reason I'm here tonight is we're working with Representative Jim Hoops on a project he put in the biennium budget for the state. It's a one-time priority project to study the aquifers north of the Maumee River. So we have some funds, and we are identifying sites where we can put in new observation wells. We run a network of 141 state observation wells throughout the state. It goes all the way from Ashtabula down to Cincinnati, have a couple up in Williams County, Defiance, all over the state. They monitor groundwater levels, so we equip them with monitoring, sometimes with satellite telemetry on them. Other sites we go out and collect the data quarterly and publish all of the water levels on a website that's freely available for everyone. It's a simple program of collecting groundwater levels and publishing them. We then, analyze the trends, and also other folks, academic and private institutions, also use the data to gauge their own resources. So with this project, what we're looking to do is put in around 10 new wells up in the Williams, Defiance, Fulton area. We have a contract, or we're starting a contract with a drilling company, and then we have all the equipment and the staff to equip them and operate them. And we identified Hicksville as a place that might be a good candidate for a site based on development, use, distance from other wells that we already have, various considerations. And we have 9 other right now that are agreed to this. There's Hicksville. We have 2 more that I'm also going to visit city council meetings this week and next. And essentially what we're asking for is cooperation and partnership in putting on one of the wells on public land. We always prefer to put them on public land so we don't have to do easements or leases or anything like that. With the public land, we can just enter an MOU with the excuse me, the entity, and then just operate the wells long term. There's no cost to the city. There's nothing that we really require other than permission, and obviously some assistance in finding a location. For this project, we're going to be installing an 8-inch observation well that we'll equip with all of our monitoring equipment. And then during the installation or shortly thereafter, we'll run an aquifer test on that well. So we'll put a pump down at a test pump it for 24 hours, most likely install a secondary temporary observation well. So we'll equip both of those wells, pump the 8-inch that we're going to keep long term, measure the drawdowns in each of those wells, and we can use that to do some analysis of the aquifer, its characteristics, its storage capacity, those type of things. All of that analysis we put into a hydrogeologic report that we'll be publishing sometime next year. And then after that's completed, we just equip the well, we leave it there, we monitor it long term. We have folks that go out each quarter and just collect all the data. So they drive out, go to the well, download the data, go back to Columbus. And that's about it. These are long-term sites, so we're looking for 50+ years of cooperation. We have our oldest one's from 1938, still continuous monitoring. So it's not a project that's just kind of going to happen and go away. It's something that we want to do long-term. The form of this is that we generally work with an MOU. So we talk to city councils or township trustees, get kind of a handshake agreement to it, and then we go back to OD North's legal team, start drafting up an MOU, and then work with the counterparty to get the MOU.
What's MOU stand for?
Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay.
So there's no money exchange, there's no ownership exchange. All it is, it'll say, the city of Hicksville agrees to let ODNR operate this well on such a place. ODNR is responsible for all the maintenance, operation, blah, blah, blah. Gives us also permission to go there onto the site. Some of our wells are, at a water department where there's restricted access, but other areas it's just right in the city park.
But you can never restrict us from anything around that.
No, we don't own the property in any way. It's yours. We just get a right of access through the MOU that allows us to go and download data.
What's the footprint of this amount of space you would?
3 foot by 3 foot concrete pad, and it has the well sticking up on it. And then I mentioned the temporary well. That would just be a casing sticking up that we most likely cap. If you have a use for that temporary well too, we'd be happy to turn it over. If you want to put a pump in it for your own use, that's perfectly fine. But after we run the test, we don't really have a use for it.
I was involved in all the emails and the pictures. Seeing your website is very interesting. Do you guys pick out a spot? I know there's talks of the park. There's park, well filled and everything. Do you guys have a spot in mind?
I have a location in mind.
We had talked once about near the water tower to the north, and then there's, I think, a property to the west of the well field. We were thinking maybe not at the well field for this site, just based on there's some artesian conditions there which make the cost of it much higher to install a well, so we're trying to avoid that. But we're open to discussing where you would want it, if you want
You're
it.
favoring industrial drive, aren't you?
Yes. Inside the fence there.
Yeah, that would be great.
When do you need to know by?
As soon as you can. We're moving forward with MOUs. I don't expect drilling to happen until August at the earliest, maybe July. MOUs from, our legal standpoint take 1 to 6 months. We're working on the contract with the driller and so forth, so it doesn't have to be right away, but kind of the earlier we get a tentative agreement, we can start getting that MOU going.
There's no easements or access roads, right? We're keeping those off the possible Keller property,
Yeah, over inside the fence of the tower.
the tower there. Okay.
Sounds great.
It's a thing that the public tends to like. Everyone wants to know what their groundwater resources look like, and we just collect the data and put it out there, so it kind of benefits everyone.
Sure. Very good. Does it need to have a motion to accept his proposal, or does we have an ordinance on that, or okay, or what? No, nothing like that.
So I make a motion to allow them to put the,
Now second it.
Got a first and second on the
Pending
motion?
review of the MOU,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, I would.
And we'll work directly with you guys to,
Yeah.
and for our legal teams to get all that sorted out.
We did. Rachel. First and second is a roll call.
Who's the second?
Ron?
Martin,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Bassett.
yes.
No?
Thanks,
Well,
Craig.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll be in, thank you. We'll be in contact then, and we'll probably have to come up at some point, you know, while the MOU's going, and actually kind of pick a location, take some pictures and things like that. So we'll be in contact. All right.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
You too. Take care. Safe travels.
Thank you.
I see the foundation, Hicksville Foundation's here. Been discussing the splash pad. You guys want to address anything, or? Nope, good. All right,
This is what we discussed with finance.
right. And I know they have that part of their committee meeting minutes, so good with that. Approval of March regular council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve is written?
Second?
Roll call.
Bassett,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Beverly,
Okay, very good, passed. Approval of bills.
I have one that's very little bill, but we get one about every month from Pogomar for $32.98. What's it for?
Paperwork, probably. I don't know. They've been nickel and diming this for how many years, I don't know.
Well, yeah, but it's got to quit.
Well, eventually, yeah. I mean, I've asked for a final payout from them, but the last two's been $32.88.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how many invoices we've had? Was it 47, 46, something like that?
46 invoices of $32.98.
No total.
No.
Big and small.
I don't remember how far back it even goes.
Yeah, you need to just give them a call and say, hey, this has got to stop.
Well, I'm assuming they're paying off a contract we got with them, so we ought to know what we owe them.
Exactly.
Just saying I don't know is not quite a
Mm-hmm.
very good answer here.
Our balance is 6,000, seem right? About 6,000 bucks.
So we're making payments on $6,000.
Or we're getting charged still paying them for it. If the
Yeah, that
tower's
could be
ready
it.
to fill once that part gets fixed,
Well, they got a leak.
what are they still doing?
Got to make sure everything's up and running. Got a leak.
Yep, I've asked for their final payout, and, yep, we'll get you a payout, we'll get your payout. 3288 shows up.
Well, do we all
Quit
off
paying
paying the
it.
bill
Quit paying it,
until they
yeah.
give us a pay app, and then we'll pay it all in one chunk?
Well, that is their invoice, it was 3288.
Yeah, but just quit paying it, and they'll start doing what you want done. Funny how that stuff will happen like that. Yeah, it just bugs me that they're always throwing little things in there, just constant.
Well, yeah, but if we still owe them $6,000.
We still owe 'em, so it's just taking
there's
off what
nothing
our
right
total is,
about it.
yeah.
We owe $32.80. Well, I'm just saying. The contract's not filled yet.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second?
Roll call.
Martin,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Beverly,
Sure.
Bailey,
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a notice of public hearing in your packets in regards to BT and P investments. Any questions on that?
That's been bugging me, is that in
The village,
Yes.
but the first house isn't. The lot beside it,
You're heading downtown, everything on the left-hand side is.
on the left. I thought this lot was on the right.
Depends on which way you're coming from.
Town.
You're heading out of town, everything past the park entrance is on the right-hand side is out of town.
Correct. But I thought
It's on the other side.
that's what you told me last meeting, there was that big lot in between the two houses. The old schoolie house and the,
Across the street,
Former house.
that's where his house trailer used to be a house trailer sat there years and years
You
ago.
got Mrs. Yoder's house, Mrs. Hook, Mrs. Yoder, vacant lot, the new house he built, and then.
okay,
Grand.
gotcha. You had me on the wrong side of the street.
All right, boards and commissions, you have a planning commission, meeting minutes along with the, Hicksville, TV agenda. HIX-TV agenda. Any questions on those?
There were no minutes from the cable board meeting, just an agenda.
Well, Bill, is there any minutes on the meeting?
The one we just had
Yeah.
on Saturday, no, I haven't got them typed up.
Okay, that's all. Saw the agenda, I wasn't sure
Yeah.
it was misplaced.
Council committee reports, first was financial committee on February 28th. And it's in your packet.
You guys have any questions on that meeting?
Talked about that one last time. The old one from February.
Since you guys have got another one on March 14th too, with the
Well, I
splash
was,
pad.
yeah, I was waiting for I thought you were gonna go in order
No.
by the day. But I
Let's
can
do
talk about the
finance.
second one. There were a couple notes in here. So with the Little League ball park lighting, please note the village will be in charge of lift rental for cost savings measures. We do not get taxed on it. So just so you guys are aware, if we decide to go with the Little League ballpark lighting, we'll have an additional cost, but it's not,
Still cost savings.
right.
Going with the other vendor.
Yep, thanks, Eric.
When do you have to know? When are you going to make a decision?
He's ready, right? Or
Yeah, I
maybe
think he's ready, and they wanted to get it done before the Little League game started.
Our local contractor, save us money. Money's in the budget between park, since we didn't hire a full-time park
Is that the
director.
one where two guys bid it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
That'd be changing all of the lights on the four fields.
Two fields.
Upgrade
Five and seven.
technology.
From 54 to 35, light.
Yeah, go to LED.
Mhm.
So they're
And I
all
think the
LED.
wattage was what?
From 400 to 100, or no, from 1500 watt to
505 or so.
Yeah.
You guys are all okay with that?
Yes. Hopefully we won't have to touch them for at least another 10 years.
Oh, yeah, more than that.
Well, as long as they're made right and done right.
What
That's
about
right.
all the halogens last year?
Are there warranties on the LED bulbs? The warranties.
These are a 5-year, we have 5-year.
Yeah.
And
And
then-
asked, but I couldn't speak.
And then,
Labor's 1 year.
yeah, labor, so if one goes out, Darren won't charge us anything to replace it for a whole year. Same as Energy Optimizers would have done, exact same warranty.
And the same materials too, correct? From the
Same as Energy
distributor?
Optimizer,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, good. Yep.
Does that need to have a motion on that, or just roll with it, we're good with that? You want to address the splash pad increases? I know finance has talked about that several times.
I'll say part of February 28th, we had a finance meeting, and we had questions on the splash pad cost and how it went up, and so we just had a lot of questions. We'd like to have a breakdown. So between February 28th and March 14th, when they met again, Corey was able to give us a list of all the breakdown and see how much of it was actually, comes back on the village due to not having a pool done. So pretty much 90% of it's all due to not having a pool done. We are saving a little bit of money by changing the electrical service from 400 amp to 100 amp. And what's the last bulletin you had on there?
Changing the block from swing block to split face, which will save us an additional 19,500. That's
Yeah.
the same block that the pool would have had, it's a split face.
So I know the
That's
foundation.
that's what that restroom at Foggy Park is, isn't it?
Yep, and then because I just stand in a field house at the football field, so everything would match.
Yeah.
I know it's been months and months ago, but the splash pad, or the Hicksville Community Foundation, I guess, they raised 800,000. We were talking about who was gonna pay the balance, and that's kind of where we're at. And the committee at our last meeting was all in favor of paying the difference, the village pay the difference. We had money set aside budgeted for pool expenses. We also had money set aside for a pool aqua center. And so we're in favor of moving forward and getting the splash pad done in the community. So that's what the committee's feelings were.
Yeah. I want to add one thing. You're talking about spending pool money. I seen you had a project and you earmarked a little pool money because we have an abundance of it. I hope we don't spend all that pool money, because someday we're gonna have one.
The money he was pool wages and,
Yeah.
because he had like 12 lifeguards at $11 an hour and chemicals and all that
Yeah.
stuff. This was capital
Operating
project,
expenses.
this was capital project.
And
That's
I
completely
think-
different.
But
Yeah, that was general fund
It's
versus capital
still
project.
money.
It
It's
is, but-
still money.
But you can only spend it certain ways though.
My
You
question.
can't take the
is-
capital projects money like we're gonna use to pay for the part of this for wages.
So one thing I want to
Or
say.
chemicals.
Anything, why not
You can't-
chemicals?
It's not capital improvement.
For pool money.
Okay, but I'm just saying, don't spend all that money.
Tony was adamant
We
about
have
that too.
done.
I am with you. I said we probably could have had a pool by now if we didn't nickel and dime ourselves to death
Mhm.
over the last several decades, you know,
Well,
this isn't new.
and I've sat here and I've seen that. We say, okay, we're gonna have a fire truck. And the next thing we know, something blew up and take that fire truck money and pay for that, and then the chief gets mad at me because you don't have a truck.
Ron, what project are you referring to that I got money earmarked from the pool? I don't have any project.
I don't know, it was in the notes on something.
Are you talking about the lights?
Was it lights?
That was park, that was coming from
That
park.
was capital outlay and stuff at the park.
But it-
Park
but-
and pool's two different.
Because we-
things.
But it strictly says that there was an abundance of pool money.
Well, might have been, should have been park money. And the reason why there was abundance was because we were looking if we had the pool and the splash pad. They were, at one time there was, they budgeted money for a full-time park director.
Mhm.
There was wages, yeah.
With family insurance and everything else all figured in there, and their budget went from like 30,000 to 110,000.
Mhm.
And so there's money in there, but now that the pool's not going, they weren't hiring a full-time. And Gary and Val, we weren't sure what they were looking to do. And since Gary and Val decided they're gonna come back 1, 2, 3, however many more years, they decided not to hire a full-time park director, so.
Mhm.
So that's why there's some money set aside that was already
But-
budgeted
but-
for the park.
Still, when I hear pool money, and we're spending it
None of
on,
this is pool money, so that's set aside for pool money. This is strictly out of the parks, not the pool fund.
but that's not what I read.
Well, I'm telling you.
To get you cleared up and everything, that's what we're here for, to ask questions and discussion. So Charlie, you had something, did you want to add something to it?
I was just gonna say, with the engineer's estimate to do the project, we had bid it out as two separate projects. So what I can't wrap my head around is some of these excesses that I feel like it should have been in the initial.
Mm-hmm.
We need to hold the engineer's feet to the fire as to why are there these additional charges on top of the 869. Some of it I understand, the situation with the fixtures, the situation with the electrical, but it's like storm, sanitary, and water. If you're engineering a pool construction, those should be in the bid for the 869. How is it not? So we gotta hold their feet to the
Yeah,
fire.
and
This
when
is
I had asked-
absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know if you remember the question, but when it was asked, they had engineered all that to tie in to the pool.
Right.
And right. I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, sorry.
But their excuse was, well, you guys are gonna build a pool, and then after we bid it, you decided not to build the pool.
We're not, we don't even give them another dime until we get this figured out, because.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yep.
And
Thank you,
when they
Cory.
said that it cost, they're gonna go from a 400 watt service,
And-
amp service to a 100.
Yeah. I knocked it
People
down to
don't even
100.
put hundreds in a new house.
I was the one that knocked it down to 100. That's the pad, that's plenty of power for the
Oh,
pad.
they don't need much for that pad.
Aren't there a lot of pumps in there?
No.
How does it get the water to spray up in the air?
We got a pump that's recirculating it.
There you go.
We have not multiple pumps, it's just recirculating it.
Yeah. The 400 amp was.
But
for
you could
each
never
house,
add
3
anything
phase.
to that if you wanted to put lights around it or anything, could you?
It'll have lights. It's got,
Something down the road.
They
we won't have
wanted
to
it to
name.
have its own
Meter.
meter.
So if you ever go to put a pool down there, is that you have a whole separate meter. So
But how can you go
know
from
what your
400
pool's
to
costing
100 and
you,
it
you
costs
know
more
what
money?
your
No, it
splash
costs
pad
less,
is.
less. We're
Reduce-
saving money that
costs
way.
money.
Save 23,000?
Yeah, just shy of 23,000 going to 100 amp.
Yep.
Originally, it was gonna be 100 amp. But when the pool was scrapped, they wanted to add a 400 amp service for a future pool.
Mhm.
And everything would come out of the pump house, and I don't wanna do that. I want two separate electric meters. They said AEP had told them they could not set 2 meters on one address. So the pump house, we have the power and the authority to give the pump house its own address. And if the pool ever gets built, it'll have the old pool address. So we could run 2 meters. So we're gonna go back to 100 amp.
Makes sense. Somewhat.
So bottom line is council okay with, I know we have questions about the increases, of course, but are we okay with moving forward with the splash pad? It's supposed to break ground here, what, in a month?
April 11th.
The longer we
Let's
wait,
we
the
grab our
longer
feet.
it's pushed out, and we've worked, we've worked, the community's worked too hard to get this into fruition, so.
Please.
Do we need to have a motion on?
Can you
We don't need a
get with
motion.
the engineer and get him,
Yeah, I meet with them tomorrow, but.
get him quoted?
Yeah, the worst case scenario, that, I mean, if they tell us, hey, sorry, go pound sand, I mean, what are we gonna do? We're gonna hold up the project?
No.
I think we just need to go.
We gotta go.
So, any other questions or concerns with the increase? We're good with it, everybody?
No, but thank you guys.
The increase
for
is 300?
Raising all that money can be an asset for the village.
Is that what it is, Ken, 300?
No, it's
269.
about 200 total. This is all broken down there.
182, somewhere in there.
269, 972.
So we've come down from the 300 to this new number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the newest number that is sent out this morning.
That's from Corey holding their feet to the fire.
And he's not finished.
Okay.
We all had the same question. We were all thinking, why is it the cross connections? Always asking those questions, but so we need to move forward with it.
Get her built.
Let's go.
Very good. You guys have any questions for us? Thank you for your patience, your time. Government does move slow,
Thank you for getting the trigger pulled.
but so. Not lost me.
Are you-
Where we at? What am I doing?
Need a motion to get like started?
Streetlight Property Committee?
What's that? We don't need a motion or anything to move forward with the. Sorry, Doug.
Nope.
Nope.
Questions on streetlight property?
A little unsure. That's why I wanted to be last.
Or you wanna go last? You want police and fire?
Hey, when you go.
Oh, yeah, do police fire.
Okay. All right, so we met last week. You guys have the minutes in front of you. Basically, the top part of that we kind of discussed earlier. The second half of the meeting was an idea that has been talked about and proposed what sounded like over the last 20 years. This idea of a West End. Daryl Rock from Sherwood came and spoke with us and listed what the advantages and disadvantages of a EMS merge would look like. This isn't something that would happen in the next couple months. This is something that would have to be set down, numbers would have to be crunched. There will be some challenges that we will experience, I think, as a village with just educating citizens on what that looks like. You can see some of the advantages and disadvantages listed here. I personally think one of the biggest struggles that we're gonna have is in order for this West End joint group to happen, we would have to run another EMS levy. So we would have to explain to our citizens that all the EMS levies that are currently out there would end upon this one passing. And it would actually save the citizens money because every township and village are gonna pay their fair share. And because it'll come straight out of levy money, it's not gonna be contracts that we have with those townships. It will come straight out of that, and it won't even run through the village. It wouldn't run through us at all. It would be part of them. There's currently 6 ambulances within the 6 townships and 3 villages. Daryl actually thinks that there really is only a need for 4, so that could potentially, he said maybe 5 tops, that could save some money, just wear and tear in ambulances. They would lease our building. We would have no control over them. We wouldn't have control over the staff. We wouldn't have control over their finances. We would be completely cut off of that. That could be, you know, advantage or disadvantage, however you see that. The biggest issue is going to be staffing. There is the potential that this will help alleviate some of our short staff issues. However, some of these other townships are also dealing with their own short staff issues. So there's just a lot of questions. Daryl has gone and talked to several of the townships already, and obviously the village of Sherwood. They're going to move forward with this. However, nothing would be final until they came and talked to us once they've sat down and looked at exactly what those numbers would look like. We talked a little bit about wages. That was one of my concerns. You know, will you be able to pay them and still be able to run it, what that would look like. So, yeah, but if you have any questions, it's nothing we have to agree to tonight because it's nothing that's formal. It's just something that meetings are taking place in the background, and if they come to the point where this is what they decide, they will come and present to us, and we can move from there.
You left out the part where we would donate our ambulances.
Correct, yes. We would donate not just our ambulances, but essentially everything that's not fire related in that building.
Yep.
So any of the EMS, so everything in the ambulances, and then I guess our employees would then have to decide if they wanted to join that. I mean, that they would have to decide what that looks like for them and their families.
It's been talked about many, many times over the years. I know we've talked about it in the past. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of program they have, the cost.
They always
what kind of
wanted to go
levy money.
countywide. This is just going to be West End.
Correct.
We talked about that back when Diane was on.
Yeah.
Mayor of West End.
But if they were to present a program, a cost, the levy kind of numbers, what it would do to the staffing within that coverage area, I mean, I think it's something to listen to them with.
Well, we
Have due
may have
diligence.
possibly just made a giant step forward in our staffing tonight.
Right.
Would they be looking at full-time employees or part-time? A lot of part-time without benefits.
No, it sounded like full-time employees. And actually their paramedic wages were gonna be about $1 more than what we were offering. So, and once again, this is all kind of based on prospective levy money.
Yeah.
But if we couldn't appropriately educate the citizens into another levy, if they didn't understand that and it didn't pass, which I think that would be really hard, right? To have all these levies back to back for EMS, that would shut down it immediately anyways. It couldn't proceed.
Right. Well, I think we need to continue to have some discussion with Daryl and the other communities and townships, and maybe we should all get together and take a look at, I mean, everybody's in the same boat with staffing,
Yeah.
coverage.
I was surprised by Sherwood staffing. They're all volunteers. And
They're all paramedics.
They're volunteers that get paid if they turn in their time.
that get
And
paid
they
if
don't.
Gotta
turn
quit
in
saying
time.
they're just volunteers.
But they don't turn in
But they
time
don't-
according to
That's on
Daryl.
them. If they don't wanna get paid, they
I
don't
was
have to.
surprised. Most of them.
Cars to the scene. too.
Yeah, most of them. Well, and that was discussed also, where do we put these ambulance, right? If we're gonna be a part of this, you wanna know, being probably the biggest village that would join, that we would have that here. And it did sound like there would be an ambulance here. And that they would have they refer to it as an echo, and I don't know.
So I think that means that there's another squad that's
I don't know
a
if it's even-
distance away.
Right, I don't even know if it's a full squad, is it, or is it just a team?
No, I think it's like this is what we're gonna do if we need this backup. There are so many questions, and it's like,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna have to play together, get along.
Mhm.
Everybody's gonna have to pool their resources. I know why it hasn't happened so far, but everybody's having the same
It's a
issues.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Like if it can logistically come together, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna see it, but
I hope I don't.
Why don't you,
I think
please
it saves us a
fire.
lot of money.
it
Look
could
at their
save us a
numbers.
lot of money, or,
It could cost us more.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Well, we
What are
have,
the numbers?
3 levies out there going from 3 to 1, could potentially save, and because our village ends up paying kind of the larger amount.
Yeah, and it would end up being cheaper for the group, because right now, each of these individual groups are spending, let's say, just for numbers' sake, $10 million together, or working separately, it might only cost $7 million if they all work together. That's why it would save the village residents money, but the other residents might have to pay more.
Right.
So like.
Right.
We're gonna pay the most, because we run the most.
Yeah,
He made it sound like percentage-wise, right? Like we're the biggest,
Yeah.
but if you break down percentages, it would be fairer to do it this way?
Another thing I don't like is we have one representative from council that's contributing to that West End thing. So that's another thing I didn't like, but
You're talking about once, if it were to happen.
yeah, because like the village loses control, but we have like one vote then, is what, the way I understood it.
I don't
which
know if we
didn't
have a
like.
vote. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, we have they said three councilman representative for this. if
I
it
think
ends
that's
up
just an
going.
overseer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a formal board. Yeah, that's a good question, because I didn't ask if there was a formal board that,
Yeah, we lose control.
yeah, you lose, yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely lose
He
complete control
definitely
over
said
it.
that, we will lose all control.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Which again, holds its own advantages and disadvantages.
One thing is you won't take 3 levies off. One of the levies is a fire levy, all right? So at the most, you're gonna lose 2,
Correct, thank you, Kent, yes, that is right.
which one of them's supposed to drop off
Supposed to.
anyway. which-
2 years.
The last one is the one, the main one that Darryl talked about, the last levy we
That's
voted
what I
in,
thought.
was to get rid of that one. Let the people be aware that that was going away as we imposed the new one, vote for the new one.
Well, it doesn't hurt to look at their program, see what they're gonna bring to the table, and see what they offer, so. I know they want more discussion on that. Anything else for police fire? Thank you. And Street Light Property Committee.
Yeah, that way if you want. Okay, did everybody get a copy of the minutes of the recommendations and a copy of the 50% reduction on the sheet that Rob has done?
So that's what I'm more
Anyway, we met, and we're coming back with 2 proposals. Other than the yard work, which I think should be a given regardless, you might not like either of the proposals, in which that case, I guess somebody else can come up with a solution. I'll just read off the 2 proposals, just so the audience can hear it, and we'll answer questions, whatever. The first one had 3 points, and the first one was the 2 owners charged for yard work can delete those costs, which was $295 in both cases. That would also go along with the second point, because they should have been charged for that regardless. The second point in the first option, the owners with ordinance-related issues with their new sidewalks need to notify Corey or the zoning office by 4 o'clock on April 15th. Now, these issues would be work which fails to meet the village code for sidewalks, not just on how they look. And upon receiving notice, then Corey or the zoning inspector will inspect the sidewalks in question. If it's defective, the village will handle taking them out and replacing with new. And then the third point on this option then is all owners on the list are responsible for the bills they've received. The second option would include those first 2 points, but then the third point gets eliminated by the sheet Rob had brought, reduced the labor charges by 50%. So you can see what those numbers all add up to. But the first and second points, like I said, would still remain as far as the yard work. And if people have issues with what got put in, getting it inspected. I guess we didn't really take a vote, so I can't say it was 3-0, 2-1, or whatever. I personally think something needs to be done to reduce the the bills to the people, because I just think based on what we had heard, it just wasn't a very good job. Plus, in general, we overbilled people by $935 along the line. It's like, we gotta account for that somewhere. But anyway, you can ask questions, take questions. If you're happy with either of these, you can vote on them tonight.
The worst part of doing, like you do a 50% reduction on costs, so the village is gonna eat the cost, right? Well, it's still them, because the village doesn't have any money, it's all taxpayers' money.
Well, I
So
know.
we didn't get a break, we just kind
No.
of jockeyed it around a little bit, like
No,
you won't let me do with money.
But the person X isn't gonna owe $1,000, he'll only owe.
What's wrong with going after the contractor that's done us a shoddy job?
Because there was no contract. All there was an estimate saying what he was gonna do, and that was it. It was just an estimate. So my whole point with this was, is that this is a gap from start to finish. From the bidding process to the actual work being done to post-work being done. That was my feeling, and that's why I said, we've gotta do, like Ken said, we gotta do something. We can't just not do anything.
My thoughts is if we gave them a 50% off in labor, it doesn't actually fix the problem. The sidewalks are still the issue. So rather than reducing it by 50%, where we would have to eat over $19,000, and then in addition to that, probably go and spend an additional $20,000 to get them fixed, homeowners still had, from the moment they received their notice, had a year to do that. They could have picked their own contractor. So instead of us giving them a discount on their bill, using that money to actually fix the problem.
And some of the residents, or at least one, was told that they should probably go with the village, because with the village
It'd be
doing it, it's
cheaper?
gonna be cheaper.
Right.
Which it really wasn't. It was
Quite a bit more, right, yeah, it was quite a bit more.
I can't say anything because I'm on the list.
Well, no, but
You should have had it
told the
fixed
same
when-
thing,
should have
Eric.
had
We
it
were
fixed
told the
when they-
same.
They gave you that.
But yours is a good example. He was billed for more cement than what he received. So how many other people fall into that? I mean, that's not right.
And even after that was correct, he was still charged more than what his initial bid was, and he's probably not the only person
Oh, no,
on this
there's
list of
several people out there.
3 dozen or more.
And some of us did not get a year notice.
Nope.
Right, there were 5 of you guys, yeah, and that was something that brought up as well. And how we address that, because it's kind of its own subcategory of that. Yeah, there's a lot of different moving parts to this. He did give a list of itemized bills, and that's where the homeowners were billed. That was the number that we billed them off, was based on the itemized bill.
You can go over here, a block over, on an $8,000 pour, it's supposed to be 6 inches. Because I went over there today, and there's about that much where the hole is in the sidewalk.
I will say the itemized bill that was given to all the residents is not accurate. It's about twice the amount of concrete you got billed for. I mean, you go to concrete calculator on any website, Google it, type in your length, your width, they multiply that by their thickness in feet, and divide that by 27 to get how many cubic yards of concrete you got. And it shows that I got more site concrete poured for my personal property, like a lot of other people did, than what I even have sidewalk on my property. And they didn't do all, they even do half of it, so.
So is there like a federal or state building code that the contractor was supposed to abide by, or not?
Our ordinance.
Ordinance, and is it,
Which wasn't followed.
no.
Well-
So our ordinance wasn't followed, okay.
There was even question, it was verbal, right? Is that how you took it? So that it wasn't even formally contracted, or, into my knowledge, the way I understood it, Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, is he wasn't actually given a copy of our ordinance.
Yeah, I had 2 different stories, so when I met with them, it ended up being a verbal from zoning official to contractor
Which is
prior
it?
to the start of the work.
There's been a lot of discussion, both with the residents and the different people that had issues with their sidewalks, and there's been all levels. Some of them paid, were fine with it, some of them were okay. Some of them felt
So-
it was unfair, but.
Here's my first question, is there anybody on this list, and I'm not asking the public, I'm asking council, has anybody paid their bill in full yet?
Yeah, there's 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
Are they part of,
I'd
We need
include
to-
them in any rebate.
Right, so they're gonna be getting money back.
Yeah, this is every bill.
is this the full list
Just
of
the full
everybody
list,
that
yeah.
had that for this round?
Yep.
Yeah, we gotta.
So, well, the committee's talked and they've discussed it with several meetings with the residents. We're to a point of trying to make a decision with council. So I recommend we move one direction or another.
What did your general public, what did they kind of favor? At your meetings, everybody
Talking
there?
about the-
They weren't here for that meeting.
I think they're looking to us to make a decision. I mean, we had
Yeah,
three
we-
meetings
we
about
met.
it.
We had told them we
Same
were
people
gonna
there
meet on
every
the
time.
18th to discuss it, but none of them actually showed up that day. We just said we'd have a decision for tonight.
What do y'all think?
So,
What do I think?
the-
I shouldn't be on the hook for something that failed from the start of the quote to the hiring of the contractor and the paying of the check before the work was assessed. Like, I got a copy of our ordinance in my letter, and we can't give a copy of the ordinance to the contractor that we're paying to do the work. I just think it's asinine. Like, why am I on the hook as a resident and a taxpayer for somebody else's mistake?
I'm with you.
Like, that's my checkbook.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, how can,
You're clear, I think we could hear her. Michael, could you go up to the microphone for us? I mean, people are interested in what you say. Yeah, yes. You're on the other side of the room. So,
I'm okay with being loud.
I mean, I bought my home in June, like I told everybody. Was unaware of any violations at any time. Still have been yet to be found in any violation of a sidewalk ordinance. I've been to every meeting that you guys have had about it. I don't see why I should be responsible for the yard work. I don't see why I should be responsible for the amount. I don't see why the village can't reduce it at some point or some way of doing
Well,
something.
yours
I mean,
is one, sorry to interrupt you, but yours is one where we would, if we went that route, we would be waiving the 295 on your bill, we would be waiving it.
Okay.
Because he
There's
wasn't
$300.
supposed to be doing it.
Right?
Well,
Okay.
but our ordinance is they have to have a year's notice, and if they bought the property in June, they
Correct.
did not have a year's
No, and that's,
notice.
The previous owner was
That's a
found to
private
be
matter.
in violation.
Have you contacted, does the previous owner know? Well, I'm sure they know if they got.
They claim they never received any notice.
So, and that's another issue that we are looking.
We had
we're
five-
redoing
So
the
we're,
procedure.
if you're definitely working with those individuals that didn't get the, okay, so that's not what we're voting on tonight with them, they're still.
As a matter of
Well,
fact, I've
that would
heard
be
that the last two previous owners have been found with non-compliance, but yet the bill gets pushed on to me.
So-
I don't understand
To
that.
answer the question for the two previous owners, wasn't there like a concrete shortage or something at one point, and we actually gave some, well, I'm just saying history-wise, wasn't there?
There was a delay in the last time, because that work got done in August of 2023.
It was after
And they got
COVID.
wrote up over a year before that.
Right, but some
But there
of
was a concrete shortage for the powder, they
Right.
can make concrete.
Right, because of COVID manufacturing, just to give a little background on some of that in case people didn't know, but.
Well, I think as far as the not knowing about it,
Uh-huh.
I think we
Rachel
Rachel
addressed
determined
that.
that to be a private matter between,
You and your realtor.
well, your.
The realtor doesn't,
She's gonna
that's
put it
irrelevant
aside.
at this point. They didn't know, the previous owners didn't know,
Nobody knows.
there's no breach of contract, there's no,
Yeah, the only way you could come after them is if they had something on the disclosure of issues on the thing.
It is
But I don't
on-
know.
correct,
it's on
right.
there.
Did they check that there was an issue?
No, they didn't, but that's irrelevant, we're
Receiving
beyond
notice.
that point now. I'm gonna have more money wrapped up in trying to pursue legal action against a previous owner that I would just paying the bill. Here I am today, I'm here to face you guys to find out what the answer is. If I would have been found in violation, I wouldn't have any issue with it. I didn't even know it was gonna happen. That's my issue. We need to be more transparent with new property owners so that this doesn't happen to somebody again in the
I
future.
will say, Corey, actually, that is definitely gonna happen. There were a lot of lessons learned in this, and the committee has talked, and Corey's actually been working with the new zoning inspector. He's redrafting a whole new letter. In addition to the new letter, it'll also give a more accurate estimate based on the bid and not just, sure, it'll be less. I mean, there's a lot of things that are gonna be changed this time around.
Okay.
Bleed over.
And I know that doesn't fix your situation.
Right, right.
Any more questions?
I have nothing.
All
What?
right, thank you.
So he's gonna be stuck with paying the 2466.
Unless it gets reduced.
So like I said, we're to a point, they had brought recommendation to different points that they would like the council to address. That's where the committee is with stuff, and so how we run with things is committee brings recommendations to council, and they vote on them. So if there's any motions on one direction or another, you can make those motions.
I don't know where it's gonna go, but I'd like to make a motion that we go with number 2.
I second that.
Now, before you vote, I just want to make sure on the second point, are we still going to leave it up to the owners that have code violation issues with their new sidewalk to contact us? Or is the village going to go around and check every one of these?
The village needs to go around.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
check it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's going to alter point number 2
Okay.
in that first option.
Okay.
So we might have to spell out all 3 things we're doing.
Okay, so I'm gonna move that a 50% reduction on the labor. We'll waive the $295 on the 2 bills for the repair work, and further, the village will go around and be checking. I think we agreed to that anyway, regardless of which option we went with. We're gonna be going out and checking these to see what needs to be done.
I mean, we're gonna do our job like we're supposed to.
We have a first and second, roll call.
Bassett,
Abstain.
Bailey,
Yes.
Beverly,
Boy, this is hard. I guess, yes. Yes.
Doug Egby,
You have not said I agree.
Egby,
No.
Miller,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
50% of the losses. We're gonna have to
No.
20,000 and then pay an additional
Well, we messed up.
And I've already paid 45, so.
That's fine. I suppose it's
Is there any more discussion on the sidewalk repair?
Yeah.
Is that gonna help any of y'all?
What did you vote for? 50% reduction of labor?
So
And
we need to have,
$300 in grass that's torn up, are you gonna come out and fix it? Are they gonna fix it?
Didn't they?
No.
no, not yet. But that is something that the village is going to go through and fix the yards that need to be fixed. And Jared will need to, or Mike, they'll need to put new bills together, I guess.
And the 2 people
Yeah.
that
Can we
did
look
get
at
their
those
grass
before they get
fixed,
sent out?
like you,
They get weighted.
attempted to put topsoil or dirt in the
And he wasn't
rut,
supposed to.
but,
but you don't pay anything,
Well, the new bills say when they're due.
right?
I got topsoil labor, $295.
First of August, end of August.
I charged labor twice.
Okay.
He doesn't pay anything on that part, right?
Right.
No, 295 he does.
295 gets completely wiped out, and then your labor is reduced by 50.
So just so Cheryl and Corey are clear, they'll have to contact the people that have not paid with a new bill, right?
Could you have down when it's due? I had a couple people ask me, is it due the 1st of August or the end of August? It just says bill will be paid in August.
I'm not sure how, I think they get assessed at the end of August, don't they?
So
Yeah, well,
I
give me
asked,
some
they asked if we got the
answers.
first or end. So,
And then also.
Corey, can we review those bills before they get sent out?
Sure.
Well,
Committee, anyway.
Okay.
okay. It's gonna add more time.
I guess, what are we reviewing it, like, to look, what are you looking for?
Everything. There were mathematical errors on the other ones.
Well, then you're gonna have to go through and refigure everybody's.
Are you talking about, I mean, I guess which part? I know there was a 13-cent error on the one.
Yeah, the one that was a 13-cent error. That was the only one where there was a mathematical error, but if he's doing whole new ones with new labor and everything, we probably have something to check math anyway. Unless it's all Excel spreadsheet and formula like we did, but.
Question?
My head's spinning now. Well, Cheryl will have to go back through based on this and refund some people money, I guess, once we're set on what the new bill is. Because it's like they'll refigure Eric's, but we're gonna refigure person X, Y, Z all of theirs.
They have to,
Have to,
because
I mean,
Okay, so somebody's got to go through and do all that before you refund anybody and before you send a new bill out.
Correct.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah, you have to.
On all the bills.
Yeah.
All ones that's been paid and everything.
And people shouldn't expect a check tomorrow morning, it's gonna take a while to get this done.
Government slow.
Yeah, government's slow.
What about the ones that still have issues? Are we, I mean, we're still gonna go back and fix them?
How does that work? Will you have to put that out to bid again? Because obviously some of them are
The
gonna
next
have to
cycle.
be.
It just depends.
Was the contractor on the hook for the one on Maple?
It's all cracked up and
Yeah,
stuff
that was all
already.
cracked
See,
up
like
like 5 minutes.
the owner per se of that property didn't know that it was getting done until he seen his address on the list. Because the previous owner had received a letter, and not the current owner. That's the one I went down and looked at, because it was obviously the largest one. And we blew holes right down to the center of the sidewalk, and that's what, you know, we were getting maybe 5 inches at its thickest point.
Not up on them edges, especially where that garbage truck's been running across there.
Right.
That's,
But even the cuts, they're not supposed to be any more than 5 feet panels.
Right.
Those are 11.
See, that goes back on the village not checking the work.
And the ordinance.
But I still think we should go back on the contractor
I do too.
for some of this.
The ordinance says that before concrete's poured, the zoning inspector's supposed to go around and check out all the forms too.
Sure.
That never happened.
Trust me, Jared and I have had
All
a
those
couple
edges
lengthy
should have been
discussions
saw
about
cut.
this.
Yeah.
Back when I did it, we saw cut everything. We didn't have all that in and out where you broke up the concrete on the street and the asphalt and everything, and then they just poured to it. That's just,
Correct.
looks like a bunch of hillbillies went in there and done it.
You get what you pay for.
But we need, I talked to Rob about this, we gotta go through our ordinance, we have to change the way our ordinance is written, add some stuff, remove some stuff, the way sidewalks are done. My biggest pet peeve is when you see a panel that's broken, right, okay, that one's got an X on it, the one next to it might be cracked, but there's no trip hazard, that has to be marked out. If you've got a panel that is in bad shape, and we replace that panel, but it's gonna sit kind of whopper job, we're gonna have to remove additional panels, it's just all there is to it. Like, I went to your guys' property and took a look, technically, if you really wanted to get code-wise, where there used to be a tree, those panels all should have been marked. Those should have been removed, period. I mean, you're what, 2 feet? Really, it goes from the east end of his driveway, all the way across their property, should have been done. Because the panels that are in their approach at their driveway, set like this, they're not level. There's just a lot of issues, you know, you go down one more house, and there's probably a 2.5, 3 inch trip hazard there.
Just around our house, it's the same way.
But hopefully with Jared coming on board, the new man, we'll get back to doing quadrants instead of just all over town.
That's what I told them we're gonna start doing. We've got an agreement that we put together for contractor, and we've had the privilege of looking at that thing. It's pretty thorough. Rachel's went through it, she's added a few things, had me add a few things, and then the way the residents will be notified, to be a lot more information on that.
And no work will be done, any bid work will be done unless there's a contract, right?
Yeah, it's an agreement, we'll call it an agreement, same thing, yeah.
Is a contract and an agreement the same thing, Rachel? Because if you go into court without a contract, you're gonna lose.
Pretty much spells out the same thing as what.
Just call it a contractual agreement
Yeah.
with a contract.
Sure.
We got both words in there.
Corey, I know on bigger projects, there's punch lists. Do we have punch lists for smaller projects like this?
For like sidewalks?
Yeah.
I don't know if Mike's ever.
Obviously not.
Well, I
I
just,
don't know.
Well,
I mean, I
it's built
understand
in the
that.
ordinance when you're supposed to inspect the work before it's done.
Right,
Yeah,
but I mean, you were
Before and
able
after.
to, you know, pull up the punch list from a project from 2017 that was in
Say
question.
after.
If we had something like that
Sure.
before and after it was poured, right, like, so that we had a better idea?
Right.
And it was
that's
documented.
easy to do. That's,
I mean, I don't know, I mean, I'm just,
but, yeah,
it seems like having more documentation would have been better in this
100%.
instance.
Do not disagree. Said I've only been here for 2 rounds of sidewalks. The first round wasn't so bad, this one's, I don't get involved with it, but now I am, so. But we'll get it handled.
Very good. Any other further comments? We're good with everything? Everybody okay with the situation? Thank you for your time on that. Next, we have administrator's report.
First of all, we're still looking to hire a full-time general laborer. We've had a few applicants. Applications for that can be picked up here at City Hall or downloaded off the village website. Then last Friday, one of the utility departments found a large sinkhole there on Elm Street. After hydro excavating that, it was found that a 6-inch storm line that comes from the railroad tracks. This is over there on Elm Street by Slattery's old building, the Habitat House there. 6-inch line that had quite a bit of clear water coming from it. Obviously it was storm. And it must have gotten broken when they did we're assuming it got broken when they did the storm sewer separation there on Elm Street. Anyways, it went into some 6-inch perforated, but it ran across the street and was dumping into the sanitary. So we cut that off, we sealed that all up, and then we took the 6-inch that was coming from the tracks, and we did put a tap into that new storm sewer that is there to fix that issue. We did start filling the water tower this morning, about 3 hours into it. Noticed that a couple of the pressure gauge fittings and the main drain was actually leaking around the threads on that. Caldwell was contacted, and they said they would have a technician here as soon as possible to fix that. We could actually fix it, but we're not gonna touch it. We're gonna let Caldwell come and take care of it.
Do they charge us to fix that or
No,
anything?
no.
Who's filling it? Like what?
Our water department, Troy and Dalton are taking care of that. Zoning department, our new zoning official started last Monday. He has been busy with like property evaluations and learning the job itself. He did tag a couple properties last week and ended up doing 2 property cleanups, one on Antwerp Drive and one on East Cornelia Street. And I know he was out with some tags today. Tennis court fencing will be getting replaced over the next month or so, weather permitting. Village street department will end up tearing down the old fence around there, and R&C Fence will be doing the install the new fence. And something that ought to make a lot of people happy is I was contacted last week by CSX, and starting on April 15th, they are going to be working on the decking of the overpass there on Smith Street, the viaduct. It'll take approximately 3 weeks to do what they need to do, and all traffic will be sealed off from that viaduct there on Smith Street, so that section of Smith Street will be closed. The fun part will be, once they're done with that, is they will be moving to East High Street, there by the grain elevator. And they are saying that'll be approximately 3 weeks, so East High Street, the viaduct will be closed to all traffic as well.
3 weeks?
Oh, it's not, 3 weeks. 3 weeks is like CSX.
Yeah.
3 years.
Hopefully it's
How
ready
long
by
did the one
Christmas.
on,
May,
May?
30 days. They had a 30-day closure.
They probably had 4 months on it, 5 months.
Just down the road.
They put a mailbox up there, them guys was getting their mail there.
Did, with that closing on High Street though with semi-traffic, because if they start cutting down Columbia
Well,
or.
if they're coming from the east, they won't be making it into town.
No, they will.
They're gonna
still
they'll have
come.
to detour them off somewhere. I mean, I'm not saying they won't, but that's all up to ODOT whether they're gonna detour them.
The police department's gonna have to be
They don't do traffic.
cracking down on
They don't do
this.
traffic.
I'm assuming they'll detour them to Industrial Drive or 49
Still gonna have
Industrial
people
Drive,
coming
bring them in
through.
on East Aragon to come to town.
Set fish down there with the car.
Fisher. Well, it's definitely gonna be a mess.
There's never been a detour yet that trucks follow, so.
The drivers to prove it.
Most of them got the GPS turkey too tight on them, they can't see.
We got people to handle it.
No, they need to be, we'll work with the police department, to talk about that. So next on the agenda is, anything for Corey? Administrator's report, I'm sorry. Carol?
Bubble Street.
Solicitor. Rachel.
We got a first reading of ordinance 2024-07 by caption only to amend appropriations and declaring an emergency.
motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call.
Bassett?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2024-07 by caption only to amend appropriations and declaring an emergency.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second. Roll call.
You have to move to approve, it's already been suspended.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoops.
Oh, it's
Approve
on. You've only been here.
It's second.
You seconded it.
I was telling him, give him some slack, he's the newest member here. Just got out of training.
Parliamentary.
Roll call.
Beverly?
Most certainly.
Bailey?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
And then we have first reading of resolution 2024-06 by caption only to enter a contract with Dangler Excavating LLC for the Meadow Lane Beverly Drive Water Service Replacement Project and declaring an emergency.
So move.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Okay. Second and final reading of resolution 2024-06 by caption only to enter contract with Dangler Excavating LLC for the Meadow Lane Beverly Drive Water Service Replacement Project and declaring an emergency.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Bassett?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
And then we have first reading of resolution 2024-07 by caption only authorizing the sale of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit village personal property, including by internet auction for the calendar year 2024.
Make motion to suspend the rules.
That's not an
There's no
emergency.
emergency.
Oh,
Oh, so first reading.
And then we have the first reading of resolution 2024-08 by caption only to donate 2 sets of bleachers to the MAC gym that are not needed for public use and have no bearing.
What is the MAC gym?
The one at Antwerp, the old high school gym. There's actually pictures. It's where all the little kids go over there for all the
Yeah,
big
a lot of our
programs.
residents go over there.
I see.
I'll move to approve.
It's just the.
Just the first reading.
First reading.
Approved.
All right, thank you for that. Department heads, police chief, Officer Franz left, he was here for a while, he took off, not here. Kidding. We already had, Chief Hart, is he still here? There he is. Come on up.
First of all, I want to thank council for taking that burden off my shoulders of hiring Bruce. You don't know what relief that is for me. Also, 504, which is our mainline pumper, is down getting its pad put on, and some of the electrical problems taken care of. That should be back this week, and we should be good to go.
Did you call him on a projected cost?
What's that?
Did you call them on a projected cost?
Nope, did not. They're doing it. I know we don't see eye to eye on that one.
Did you see eye to eye with Cheryl?
She knew about it.
Is the ladder truck ready to go, certified and everything?
I'm sorry, the what?
Ladder truck, weren't we waiting on the certification?
Oh, certification on the ladder truck? No, not yet. We're still debating on what we're gonna do.
Is this the one with the leaking or the
Hydraulics.
What are the options? What are you said you're waiting on what to do. What are your options?
Leave it sit.
I
until
thought
we-
it had to be certified to sit in there though.
No,
It does not?
it doesn't have to be.
I'm not sure about that.
Well,
Now what he finds, getting rid of theirs? Whatever.
if we don't run 503, our second line pumper, it sets
But is it certified?
for now, yes.
Yeah, I guess my question was, does it have to be certified to even stay in that building?
I have no idea. I've never had that question asked me.
Well, I know you asked that.
I asked it, but I did a little checking myself, and I'm pretty sure. I'm not
It has to be
100%, but I'm pretty sure that if it's
I'll
not
check on that
certified, it can't
tomorrow.
be in there. Can't be in a usable area.
Okay.
So are you thinking about selling it then? I guess what were you thinking of doing?
Well, as much as I've been browbeaten with the money of my trucks going down, had to be repaired, that's kind of set on the back burner to be repaired.
Yeah, I understand that
Yeah.
finances,
Yeah.
always, there's restrictions there.
Sure.
I would like though for you to be transparent with council so that, you know, we don't hear something later. I feel like so much of this has been, you know, so reactive, right? Like we want to be proactive,
Sure.
not reactive.
Sure.
And if we know ahead of time what that looks like, and if it's going to continue to be a burden to the department, maybe we should look at finding something different.
Sure. And I try to be transparent with everybody. They're just things that just crop up and,
No, I understand that.
yeah.
Some vehicles-
Well, I hope you do.
Okay. Anything else for Bruce? Nope. Thank you, Bruce. Park Director, Val, anything?
I don't have anything.
Nothing? Not mowing today? In the snow? No, good.
Should have mower up, put a snowplow back on.
Fiscal Officer, Cheryl?
We have the usual fund status cash summary, and those were printed before we received our March payment of property tax. So they will be different at the next meeting. I finally got it entered in the computer at like 1 minute until 5 today. So I gave everybody a copy if you have any questions. I put out to the side all of the breakdown of what the fees we have to pay. We don't just collect that money and get to keep it all. And if you notice on there how much an election costs. All comes out of general fund. And I need to know if you have decided on the agreement with Maumee Valley. It's a renewal. And if so, then I'll have the mayor sign it tomorrow.
Do we need to vote then? Or, I would think so if you need that.
Take
you
a
need
straw
an
vote
answer.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need legislation because it's a renewal, but you might want to vote
Recommendation.
on it. So that,
Roll call.
Even though the way that they charged us is different, it's still considered a renewal?
I would, what do you think?
I think, yeah.
Because it was just a base fee last time, right? Now it's broken down by hours?
Right.
Well,
Plus
they're
it's
still,
just-
well, they still got the annual compensation shall not exceed part.
But-
4,000.
But
What-
this didn't
what told-
exist before, right?
Correct.
The
Well, that
rates.
wasn't in there either.
Well, we paid, well, it wasn't that much.
No.
Right, it wasn't that much.
Well, I say we vote.
Yep.
Yes.
Second.
Roll call?
Second.
I second it.
Bassett,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
That's all I got.
All you got, Cheryl? Thank you for that. I know me and Rachel talked real quick tonight, quick mayor's report. Moving forward with trying to get the nonpartisan election, that way we wouldn't have to do any primaries. But we had a couple of discussions about, I know city council itself, its employees for the village can't do anything with that petitioning election, but we don't know if we can even do the paperwork to just put it back toward Board of Elections. So we had a question into Tanya today, but they are busy with the primary. So we're gonna get, we had a meeting, like I said, we're gonna get those answers here shortly. I went to a health board meeting. It was an annual health board meeting that all the mayors, townships went to. It's a thing they do every year, just kind of update us on how the health department, what they're doing within the county. I've attended several of the hospital board meetings, was allowed to sit through their executive sessions and listen to some of their concerns. I think they have another one tomorrow night, so I appreciate the hospital letting me sit in on them and listening to some of their ideas on what's going on with the hospital. The solar eclipse is coming real soon, April 8th. I know we've talked about people coming into our areas to watch that eclipse on the 8th. We have designated 2 places, the Defiance Fairgrounds. I reached out to Jerry Sanders They have already set that up with the county. They're putting porta potties up. They're gonna have some people in attendance, some trash receptacles. So if people are coming into our community, they can Google our website or the county, and that's a designated area to watch the solar eclipse. And we also put the city park, Village Park, down there too. So if they wanna go down and watch, what is it, 3 minutes or 4, Village Park to watch it. It's an open area. You know, we're trying to keep them off the streets or blocking the streets, but if they do come to our website, then Dawn has that posted and the addresses for both those places.
Like just parking free.
Is it free? Or should we charge?
$5.
Maybe $5. We hope people come to town if they want to enjoy the town and shop and hang out a little bit and watch the solar eclipse. It'd be nice. We have no idea how many people are coming in our area, so there is some areas to watch at. Lastly, we have the Easter egg hunt coming up. We won't have council before then, but Corey, Carrie, their helpers, Lifeline Connect Church, putting a lot of candy and Easter eggs together, a lot of donations. But I want to thank them for all they do. I know there's hundreds and hundreds of kids and families that go down and enjoy that event at the park, and that would be, you want to say it's March 30th, right?
It's this Saturday, the
23rd. This Saturday. 23rd, I'm sorry, 23rd. March 23rd, and the time?
Registration begins at 11:30.
From the
Kids age birth through 12.
Birth through 12. Registration 11:30 at the Village Park. So thank you again for all your due diligence and help, and hope to see a lot of kids down there. So March 23rd, right? Yep. No, I did not. The primary in Ohio is tomorrow, so I'll make sure you go to the voting booth. Where election's been busy with that.
So are you?
That is it. I don't have anything more for city council or village council. And thank you for coming tonight. Anybody else have any questions?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, you're a second.
I was gonna go into executive session. We're gonna be short one. I guess it might wait. Involving disciplinary action, but yeah, I think we need to get taken care of. Yeah.
We're not adjourned. Okay. Sharon,
Make a motion to go into executive session for personnel disciplinary action.
Well,
Hey, you can shut off.
yeah, so it should be 50% off the 415. We'll do all this.
You did a good job of staying the whole meeting. I'm proud of you guys.
You asked that question.
Anybody second? Executive session. And I've been over there
Roll call.
35 times.
Are we going to executive session?
Yes. So you can start.
Thank you. I'm just waiting for you to officially close the meeting. So Mark, nobody's going to adjourn
Yes.
to executive session.
Where are we at? What the hell happened? I fell asleep. I don't want to go open session.
That's what you're voting
Let's
for.
finish this before you start gabbing.
Executive? Oh, most definitely.
Martin,
Yes.
I love it when we do that.
Miller,
Yes.